Heathrow Airport, London. A beautiful day, but no one knows that an event about to happen will shake the airline industry. Talia Monroe, a successful businesswoman, drags her suitcase into the VIP section, reserved for the highest tier members. She just completed a major business conference, signing a $500 million contract. A first-class flight is the perfect reward for her. Airport staff immediately recognize her and escort her to the special lounge. "Welcome, Ms. Monroe, your flight will depart on time. We will notify you when it's time to board." Talia smiles lightly, sets down her handbag, and pulls out her laptop to check emails. Little does she know, just a few hours later, she will experience one of the worst moments of her life. The first-class cabin on the flight from London to New York is one of the most luxurious in the world. Each seat has its own space, large touchscreens, comfortable beds, and personalized service. Talia walks in, sets her handbag down, reclines in her seat, and takes a sip of champagne. Everything is perfect, until a flight attendant approaches. "Excuse me, but we need you to switch seats." Talia raises an eyebrow and sets her champagne glass down. "Why should I switch seats?" The attendant hesitates but maintains a professional tone. "A very important passenger needs this seat." Talia cannot believe her ears. This is first class, everyone here is important. But when she looks over, she sees a middle-aged white man standing nearby, arms crossed, waiting. Immediately, she understands what is happening. Talia remains calm, looking directly at the flight attendant. "I paid for this seat. I'm not moving." The flight attendant appears more uncomfortable. "This passenger is of very high status. He frequently flies with us and we want to ensure his comfort. This is no longer a suggestion, this is a command." The white man steps forward, his voice full of authority. "Is there a problem? I just want a more comfortable seat." Talia cannot believe how unreasonable this is, but she knows exactly how to respond. She pulls out her phone and dials a key figure in the aviation industry. "James. I have a huge problem with your airline." The white man and the flight attendant begin to feel uneasy. And this is the moment that changes everything. Talia keeps her phone pressed to her ear, her voice calm but each word laced with immense power. "James. I have a serious issue with your airline." On the other end, James Caldwell, the CEO of the private airline Talia is flying with, quickly responds. "Talia. What happened?" Talia takes a deep breath and glances at the flight attendant in front of her. "Speech balloon, one of your attendants just asked me to give up my VIP seat for a white passenger, claiming he has more important status than me." On the other end, there is a tense silence. James cannot believe what he just heard. They really did that? Talia folds her arms, her gaze icy. "Not only that. When I refused, they threatened to cancel my ticket if I didn't switch." At this point, James explodes in anger. "Give the phone to the flight manager immediately." Talia smiles faintly and holds the phone toward the flight attendant. "Your CEO wants to talk to you." The attendant freezes, her hand shaking as she takes the phone from Talia. "Hello. What's your name?" James's voice is cold. The attendant swallows nervously and speaks in a whisper. I'm Lisa Morgan, the chief flight attendant on this flight. You have 2 minutes to explain why you asked my VIP customer to switch seats for another passenger." Lisa can't speak. She knows she's made a huge mistake. But the worst is yet to come. Inside the flight operation room, the crew begins to panic. James is in direct contact with the airport's CEO, demanding immediate action. Lisa, the chief flight attendant, hangs up, her face pale. She turns to her colleagues, her eyes filled with desperation. "We just lost our jobs." Shortly after, an announcement blares through the airport's communication system. The flight crew of flight number 789 must immediately disembark and report to their superiors. The other passengers in first class begin to murmur, realizing something serious is going on. Talia remains seated, her legs crossed, her face full of satisfaction. She doesn't need to do anything else, justice is already in motion. A new attendant approaches and bows to Talia with respect. Ms. Monroe, we deeply apologize for the unpleasant experience earlier. I assure you that you will receive the highest standard of service. Talia nods, saying nothing further. The change has taken place. But what happens next makes the entire world aware of this incident. Just a few hours later, the story starts to spread on social media. A passenger who witnessed the entire event posts on Twitter. A black businesswoman was asked to give up her VIP seat because the white passenger is more important. The CEO of the airline reacts immediately. The post goes viral, receiving millions of views within hours. Major newspapers like the New York Times, CNN, and BBC begin covering the incident. Comments on social media explode. Did this really happen in 2025? Unbelievable. Talia Monroe did the right thing. Never let anyone disrespect you because of your skin color. A lesson. For those still living in prejudice, Talia's reputation grows stronger than ever, while the airline faces a massive backlash. But what Talia does next makes the whole world respect her. Hours after the incident, the airline faces an outpouring of public outrage. Twitter explodes with millions of shares. A black CEO asked to give up her first-class seat for another important passenger. Is this true? Can't believe this still happens in 2025. Meanwhile, the airline's leadership holds an emergency meeting. CEO James Caldwell knows they cannot remain silent in the face of public outrage. A press conference is quickly arranged at the airline's headquarters in New York. James Caldwell steps up to the podium, standing before a sea of microphones and cameras. The CEO declares, "The airline will conduct a thorough internal investigation. The employees involved in the incident have been immediately suspended. The company commits to revising its training policies to prevent such incidents in the future." The speech quickly becomes hot news on CNN, BBC, and Forbes. But for Talia, an apology is not what she needed most. She wants to ensure this never happens to anyone else. Within 24 hours of the incident, a wave of firing sweeps across the airline. Chief Flight Attendant Lisa Morgan is terminated immediately. She receives an email from Human Resources, short but impactful. "Ms. Morgan, your actions were not in line with the company's values. Your employment has been terminated, effective today." Lisa panics, tries to call the HR director, but receives a cold response. "You've ended your career." The entire flight crew from that flight is also fired, no exceptions. The airline knows they cannot keep employees who have tarnished their reputation. The white man who asked Talia to give up her seat also faces severe consequences. He is banned from flying in the airline's business class for the next 5 years. The company he works for is also heavily criticized by the public for his behavior. This story doesn't just stop with those who lost their jobs, it becomes a global movement for justice. Talia Monroe didn't just get her seat back, she changed how the airline industry treats its customers. A week after the incident, she receives invitations from human rights organizations and events about equality. "Talia, would you like to join a seminar on equality in customer service?" The airline also contacts her, inviting her to join their advisory board to help reform their staff training process. Talia has proven that one person can make a difference if they dare to stand up for justice. She not only earns respect from the airline industry but from the global business community as well. On LinkedIn, top CEOs praise her. Talia Monroe is a role model for resilience and determination. She's fighting not only for herself but for everyone who's ever been treated unjustly. But Talia knows this story isn't over yet. Never let anyone define your worth. You deserve what you've earned. This post quickly becomes a symbol of pride and justice. Hashtags like hashtag respect all passengers, hashtag say no to discrimination trend on Twitter. Her final message to those still battling injustice: if you don't stand up for yourself, no one else will. Her story inspires millions, reminding everyone that no matter who you are, you deserve respect. And so, a story about prejudice ends with the triumph of justice.